Doc and the Captain are back today, Drew, and we have a sponsor.
We do.
Today's sponsor is brought to you by Science in Sport.
They have a great variety of nutritional products to help you perform at your very best.
I know this is a organization that Drew and I really live by and stand by, so definitely go out and pick yourself some up.
Yeah.
But today's video, we are going to talk about illness. We're kind of at that point of the season where we are picking up our intensity. There are some viruses and things that are actually out and about out there. So today we thought it would be a very good idea to kind of incorporate a video of kind of how to get back into working out after you've fought through some sickness. So
yeah, and just what to do. You know, it's a big question that always kind of comes up. So, you know, what do you do in that situation? So number one, reduce your life stresses, reduce stresses on everything. Make sure you eat some really good, healthy, and highly nutritious meals, and get some more sleep. I'm the worst person to talk about that.
Yes, you are.
But get some more sleep. So.
And really, sometimes we might not be able to manage all the stress in our life. The one that I put kind of at the top of this list is the nutritional aspect of things, because you do have your hands on what you put into your mouth. And by really putting in quality nutrition through this process, not putting the stress on your body already has enough stress, so decreasing the stress of the digestion of food is going to be a big satisfier for the body and allow you to focus on just overcoming that illness through that point.
Absolutely. So next question is, you know, when do I stop training? That's the real question. So,
we want to say never, but that is not right.
So easy rules here. So above the shoulders, below the shoulders. So above the shoulders, you've got maybe a little bit of a sore throat, a runny nose, some sneezing, maybe a little headache. You could potentially still train, but everything needs to be greatly reduced as far as intensity and volume and so on and so on and so on.
And then when we go below that, we look at lungs. So if we're coughing, if our muscles are achy, if we have a fever, these are things where we want to shut it down. Absolutely. Because any intensity level could actually increase and almost incubate the system and create this to take a hold of you rather than you take a hold of it.
Absolutely. So yeah, obviously flu-like symptoms, yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's when you need to go see your doctor, so.
100%, Drew, you couldn't say that loud enough.
Yeah.
So that is also very important. And one of the things that I do want to throw out in addition is increasing just your overall fluid in this process will also help with making sure when we're sick, we tend to lose a little bit of that natural hydration through the body, so keeping that up at a top level would also be
and electrolytes and things like that. So
absolutely.
So you get sick. We miss 1 day, we miss 2 days, we miss up to 5 days. No big deal. You're not going to lose any, real, adaptations that you've made in your body. You're not going to lose all your fitness. I know you don't run for 1 day, kind of like me, and I feel like, oh, I'm never going to be able to do this again. But 1 to 5 days, you're really not losing anything as far as that goes.
From a mental standpoint, it just plays on you a little bit from your mental standpoint. It really, as far as your muscles and everything from that standpoint, you are not taking any steps back. So it's a good thing if you can just shut the brain off at that point and not think about what you lost, because you just lost some days. That's it.
Absolutely. So 6 days all the way up to 10, 14 days. Now we're talking about you might lose a little bit of just adaptation that you've created through your training cycle. So if that's the case, then you might need to back up a little bit. So if you had a really intense workout scheduled and you miss 2 weeks, you miss 2 weeks straight because you really do have the flu, then you shouldn't go right back into that really intense exercise. You should almost take a step back in your training cycle, maybe move back into the base, and that's another video of discussion.
A good thought process is if you get over that 6 day, backing up as many days as you missed out. So you also are going to have a couple of days where you're going to lead in, which we'll get into, of a little bit lighter stress on your body. But if you miss 6 hard days of training, you want to back it up 6 days if that's the case, or 14 days. You want to back it up almost that mesocycle to almost the start of that process.
Absolutely.
So it's really from that, we're gonna let you know about this, but adding in some additional lower intensity days, but then adding back the time that you missed is a good idea, and kind of that 1+1 thought process is a good place to be.
And the only time that this may be a little bit different, if you're really close to your race. So let's say you're 3 weeks out of the race and you missed 2 weeks. Okay, maybe we need to test the waters a little bit, but that's going to be so individually based, you know, per person. Obviously, we don't want you to go in right away and just hammer race efforts right away. Unless you have a race in the next 3 days, then maybe it's something you have to do. But hopefully, no one will get sick, you know, within that you know, 3 week before period. Or
and if you do, life's going to go on,
Yeah.
and it's just a matter of managing the situation and giving yourself that proper time to recover. Give yourself even some test days in that particular case, and just let it fly.
Cool. Other thing that we also wanted to touch on was heart rate variability. We talked about this in was our first video ever, Aaron?
It was.
Our first video ever. So this could be a wonderful way to kind of to know that your body is ready for that intense exercise again. Go if you want to.
I really am from the thought process that every single person should be taking their heart rate variability, whether they're an athlete or whether they're not, because it's just going to give you an inside look of how your body is working and adapting to certain situations throughout, whether you are athletic or if you're not. It's just going to provide you with, if your system's fatigued, if your system is on the brink of something bad happening, you can already have this kind of as an alert system and move forward and try to detour around some of those challenges that you have. But really, as Drew was talking about, for the HRV in this particular scenario, if you have a good baseline, you've been tracking that HRV for a long period of time, it's gonna start to give you that qualifying information of, okay, well, my system's back and ready to go. I can ease into this process.
Absolutely.
It also will show you, you might feel like you're on the brink of getting back, but it's also going to give you that your system is still a little bit challenged, and it might not be right to step back into that arena just yet. So taking that additional day off before you turn up the intensity is going to be a very informative and quality piece of information. So the HRV is a very, very valuable tool in this process, and it is something where if you do have that baseline information, you take that test in that morning, it's going to give you that idea of, okay, today's the day I get to get back on.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you're not monitoring your HRV, which we don't expect everybody to do that, returning intensity-wise, everything starting easy and really truly just monitoring your heart rate. And what your heart rate normally is at however much intensity. And if it's out of whack and it just seems off, then that just tells you that you're just not ready for that intense exercise yet. So if you're used to holding X number of watts at 120 heart rate, and that same number of watts you're sitting in the 140s, something's just not quite right yet. So
and just being in tune with your body, being in tune with the situation, and typically after that 2 to 5 days in that first window, you are going to feel recovered from a muscular standpoint. So even if you go a little bit too hard, you might create a little bit of soreness in that process. So decreasing the intensity even on those particular bouts, and then especially if you go above that 6 and above, you need to have a plan anywhere from 2 to 4 days to get back into process with that very, very low intensity, because you're really kind of starting that process. You're going to have some inflammation. Your body is still getting over some additional stresses, so no reason to put that stress at a level 10 when you don't necessarily need to at that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
So really at this point, it's going to get you back moving at that point. These are kind of just, again, it's very informative. Each person is going to kind of march at the beat of their own drum, but this is just a overview of best practices for the majority of everybody out there, so you're going to be able to not miss too much time and also not take too many steps backwards. Drew, do you have anything else to add?
No, just don't push too hard when you're not ready. I mean, that's the simplest way to put it. But
absolutely. And again, to really kind of go over those first 3 things and add the 4th of hydration. But reduce the stress in your life. Really, really high nutritional meals. Increase the sleep. And hydration, hydration, hydration. Those are going to be kind of the 4 principles to live off of, and going to lead you back down the right path to get you back moving as quickly as possible.
Absolutely.
Well, again, we want to thank Science and Sports for being a sponsor of this video today. And definitely, if you have any questions about this video or Science and Sport, we are both really open and wanting to take on any additional questions as we move forward.
Absolutely.
Again, we're looking for any type of topics that you guys might want to have us do some research on and discuss. So don't hesitate to throw that our way. But beyond that, CTC, go make some magic.
Have a great day.